What's good, y'all? It's the Dumashettes React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
And we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Without further ado, let's get into the video. But first, okay. So we know that this is a sensitive topic for you all. One day we were talking about ethnic groups, tribes, things like that, and y'all was telling us about the tribalism issues. So somebody sent this video in with a long paragraph. Okay, and of course we're from the United States, so I don't believe that we fully understand this topic, but y'all wanted us to talk about it. We may not add much to this video. I'm just gonna let y'all in. We're here to learn and to understand.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see whys and the whys nots.
Yeah,
I want to know. I'm here to really understand this. You know what I'm saying?
Cause the paragraph got us like, why us? Why we gotta present it? So we here to learn. All right,
let's get it.
Hello and welcome back to the 77% Street Debate. This week we are in Lagos, Nigeria. And would you believe me if I told you that this country has over 300 ethnic groups? That's crazy to think about. And with that comes over 500 languages, making this one of the most diverse countries in the world. But that diversity can sometimes get in its own way, resulting to tribalism. And our question today is, can this country overcome it? And what can the older folk learn from the younger people? Who better to ask than fellow Nigerians? Thank you all for joining us. But before we begin, I'd like to ask a general question. How many of you here have experienced tribalism directly or indirectly? Let me see by show of hands. Indirectly and directly. Okay, so quite a fair amount of you. Let's start with you, Emmy. What was that experience like, if you don't mind sharing?
It was very uncomfortable because essentially we are such a huge nation and we have so many languages. So hearing that you cannot have an opportunity to do something because you're from a minority tribe or from a tribe that is not central was actually very uncomfortable for me.
So was this something that happened where you were denied a service or you were denied work? Give us some few more details.
Okay, so the situation was I was in a relationship with someone and I was not allowed to marry this person because he was from another tribe. So it was kind of, uncomfortable. It was back and forth between families. But you don't know this person as I know him. So it's about the people, not about where they're from or what their people are like or what their people have done, etc., etc.
Okay, so Ubong raised his hand earlier, and he's actually a historian. So before we continue with people's personal experiences, just take us back a little bit. Where does the idea of tribalism begin in Nigeria?
Well, the issue of tribalism begins in the pre-colonial period, okay? As you mentioned, Nigeria is home to multiple ethnic groups, so people existed in their different ethnic levels. And then we had the colonial period, okay, and when the colonial masters then used the issue of tribalism, okay, to rule the country for their benefit, okay. And then we had the post-independence period, that's the post-colonial period. That's where we had the coups, and then we had the counter coups, and then of course the first coup was there are different positions that it was an ethnic coup because of the selective targets, okay, of those that were involved. But there are also opposing arguments against that. Well, of course, that's the history. That's how it came down. The pogrom that followed after the second coup, which was a counter coup to the first coup. Lots of people from the Eastern extraction were guilty, were dead, okay, and that was quite a problem, and that has formed part of the whole fabric and of the whole system of Nigeria as a country.
Yeah, so a very dark and sometimes violent history because of tribalism. Let me hear from you, please.
Thank you, Edith. So historically, we used to do infighting a lot. Pre-colonial period, there's a lot of infighting amongst the Yorubas. In fact, they do not call themselves Yorubas as a term or a tribe. It's a tribe he helped them build. For the Hausas too, it is the same thing. They used to always fight amongst themselves. And the Igbos, especially the Igbos, because the Igbos, they even have a saying that Igbo Amagieze, I'm not an Igbo, I'm Fulani Igbo. It simply means the Igbo has no king. in essence, they have no central authority. They are just towns. Let's say this is a town, another town, and they are always fighting from one town to the other.
So you've raised a very important point. Oh, I really love the enthusiasm here, but I have to center back the debate for a second. Walking around Nigeria today, I mean, I can't distinguish between an Igbo, a Yoruba, a Hausa. So how does it manifest in contemporary Nigerian life?
The other day I was online and then someone, said that the Yoruba tribe like formed or made, Nollywood, which is the third biggest movie industry in the world. People were saying, oh, no, this one was struggling. It's the Igbos. And this person said, no, it's the Hausas. And I was just thinking about something. I'm like, why do we have to bring the whole nature of tribe into this conversation? I'm from a minority tribe. We don't even make noise, but does it mean that I'm less talented? No. Right now on social media, you can see people insulting themselves, people throwing jabs at each other and I ask, where is humanity?
Yeah, okay, so you asked a very important question. Why the need to identify along tribal lines and not just as Nigeria, as Nollywood, as Afrobeats? Let's ask Henry here because he works for a national agency of orientation, which is basically supposed to unite Nigerians. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with identifying with your tribe, is there? So where does the challenge come in?
Just like what she has said, a lot of things are now happening on social media that is bringing back the memories that have been healed over tribalism back into our system.
Okay, let me talk to somebody who knows a little bit about social media, Samuel, who's a digital strategist. So does this imply then that it's young people, because they're the ones who are majority on social media, who have inherited this disease of tribalism?
Nigeria has about 300 ethnic groups, 500 languages. If you put people of different beliefs in the same place, there's bound to be disagreements, right? I think it's just generally natural that those things would happen. The young people learning off of, you hear things like those Igbo people, the Yoruba people, and it's what they know. And what I think is, even if there are differences, there should be similarities, right?
Of course.
And the younger people don't really care about the differences. If you ask everybody, we don't really care, right? The younger people have their own culture, their own belief systems, and I think this will thrive at the end of the day.
Okay, so I'm hearing here.
All right,
I'm gonna come
hold on. So,
about to
all right, what I was basically going to say was something short and sweet. When it comes to the next generation, they always got a different beat that is going to help create or reshape, what's going on in today's times. And most of the times, as older folks, there's not much that they can say or do to get the rest of the people on board with how they was once, living life. So that's just kind of how the new flowers grow.
Yeah, and everybody is just in the World Wide Web, just all here together.
That's another thing.
Okay, so I feel like I'm starting to understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Of course, y'all know we gotta pull from our perspectives of what we know, our experiences and things. Yeah. Okay, so this reminds me of, and I hate to bring this up on this type of video, but it's gonna be relevant. Looking up on our history, with the slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when we are having these conversations, especially online, there will be groups of people who will be like, well, they were enslaving themselves. And that's why I always say I would love to see a movie where we saw the other side of the slave trade, like what was going on the land, to see that. Because in Roots, the History Channel remade the Roots series, and it's more digestible. The newer Roots series is more digestible, and it's fast paced for the newer generation to see that. And there was a line in the movie where he said, "Kunta, it's time for you to pay for your father's sins," or something. Right. Something.
This was in the process of Kunta becoming a man, and he was running around doing what he had to do, and he came across this other tribe.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever feud the tribes had between each other, they found a son, and they made him pay for the family's death.
Yeah. So just listening to them, I understand this topic a little better.
Yeah.
You just a second. I'm hearing a lot of, we're really not tribalists. We don't care what tribe you come from. And yet you're telling me that in your politics, sometimes even in your relationships, tribalism is seeping through. Why is that? Let me hear from someone at the back here.
I would like to touch on the aspect of culture. I think that culture is meant, fundamentally to integrate us as a people. And the fact that he's maybe Igbo and I'm Yoruba, or he's Hausa, it doesn't change the idea and the fact that there is an aspect of individuality in everybody. Yeah. So will I say that because if I have a bad attitude, for example, will I say that it's being Nigerian that made me have a bad attitude? No, it is me, Etajo Maria. Maybe I didn't.
A lot of times people do go through that where they say you're like this because of where you're from or who you're connected to. You know what I'm saying? But what she's saying is, just check out.
The training that my parents gave me, maybe I didn't listen to them very well when I was growing up. That is what made me have a bad attitude.
Okay. Yes, I do. And because you mentioned, Ifeanyi, I know you want to say something, but I want to come to Ikechukwu for a second here. Because we're hearing about the values that are sometimes ascribed to you as part of your culture and your identity. Fantastic. But isn't there room for national values, for a Nigerian identity?
For someone like me, it comes very natural. I don't have the luxury of being a tribalist. The reason why I say this is because, first, I'm Igbo by tribe, I'm Deltan by origin, I'm Yoruba by birth and naturalization, I am Hausa by marriage, and I'm Efik by maternal affiliation. So when I find myself in this kind of position, so how do I become tribalistic? So I think it has a lot to do with the individual. And first, when I hear people say, I'm first a tribesman before a Nigerian, I say something which is highly essential. You need to be a human before you belong to a tribe. Now, you hear the houses calling the Igbos Yamiri. Now, the word Yamiri actually came from the term Yemiri, which means give me water. When you're trying to tell someone that they are bad people and you're calling them Aboki, you're telling someone my friend, so your friend is a bad person. So you see when you point a finger at someone, so much is pointing at you.
Let me hear from Jibril for a second here. By the way, I love the choir that's happening in the background here. Yeah. Yeah. So, Jibril, there are a few things that he said, and I want to give you a chance to...
I just want to build on what he said. Like the Nyemri he called, give me water. It's something that emanated. It's a slogan during the Civil War. So... there's a way history used to affect us. So this new generation of, let's say, our set, they don't see that as offensive. So, but when history is being taught to them, that's when they will now recall that, so this is what this means. So eradicating history from the curriculum done by the then President Olusegun Obasanjo, which is a two-way thing. They brought eradication of history from the syllabus just to take off this civil war thinking, the tribalistic approach to things away from the newer generation. But as it's...
Hate to make this political, but United States, y'all hear that? Tell the history as it happened.
Guys, too. That's the only way you're going to get a real understanding.
For real.
It has its pros and cons.
Okay. Let me hear from Ifeanyi for a second, because you've been wanting to speak for a while, and I want to find out from you, is there this disconnect between the young generation and the older generation? The older generation being the ones who went through the Civil War, who really know about the scars of tribalism.
Yeah. So the big disconnect. I see that very unequivocally. During the election, these past elections, it was very, very obvious, very clear, where the elder ones, they kind of like relaxed and didn't want to put too much pressure. They were just comfortable where they were. You get, it's almost like they were subdued. You get, the young ones wanted to move forward. They see other things on social media, how other countries are moving forward, their peers and everything. And they want to like, what's happening? We have all the resources, we have everything. Why are we still here? You get, the whole NSAS thing showed how unity is actually is very, very unanimous with our younger generation. The Muslim prayed at the toll gate and the Christian gathered. After they finished, the Christians started praying, the Muslim got everywhere. You get, so it was very, very beautiful for me to see, to witness. You get, so I think our older generations are holding us back because of the things that happened. The British came in, divided everywhere, and then they now started using that as a system. It's almost, they put it as a system because it's not visible. As I when you were speaking about National Orientation Agency, I think we need to be very, very black and white about things. We need to be very honest. If you're very honest, you can see things the way they are and then be able to point it out. You get.
So let me get some practice.
So far, for me, it sounds like we're focusing on growth.
Mm-hmm.
Just because things may it look like it's changing, don't mean they forget the teachings. You know, Definitely growth. That's what I want to put a pin on. I'm hearing growth in them.
Yeah. You could tell it's deeply rooted. It really
Yeah, it
is.
is.
What
Yeah.
I'm loving about this group is that it's different ages, different people from different backgrounds, and everybody seems to want to come on one accord.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm liking that.
Practical examples. Anyone here who has parents who are very tribalist and it makes you uncomfortable? Anyone? Or whose parents hold views that you're like, I, mama.
Anyway, my dad used to tell me at a time that I should not marry from a particular tribe. And I began to wonder why. I have asked him several times, he will not answer me. He will just tell me, please don't go and marry from that tribe. And unfortunately for him, when I got to the university, my closest friend happens to be from the tribe.
So let me ask Emmy, because you started us off with the story about marriage. What is a big deal in marrying outside of your community, according to the people who are against it?
Okay, so I'm from Bayelsa State, and essentially my people are termed a minority tribe because we don't make up, a large number of the people in Nigeria. We are a small tribe, so marry somebody from our tribe and just, continue the lineage, continue the culture, continue that's what they want.
Don't you risk marrying your cousin if you're such a small tribe?
It actually happens. Yes, it does happen, and I don't think it's frowned on. It's just not too close to him. But I think after which I would say that marriage didn't work out, not because of what they did, it was because the two of us agreed mutually that we should not continue with the relationship. What they wanted was just so that our tribe can continue. And I think that personally, I fear that in the coming years, if we continue marrying like that, maybe we might not have Bayelsa tribe.
Okay, let me hear from the gentleman.
That does sounds like if it continues, it's like if some point it's a circle. It's a full circle. It comes back to the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
And that's interesting because y'all know we love genealogy.
Yeah.
We fall up in our trees. And in our state alone, there was a lot of intermarrying cousins and all that going on. So a lot of people in our state is related to each other on both sides of their family.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start with this. I was first an African before I became a Nigerian. I was a Nigerian before I became an Igbo person. I work with mostly people from the north and from the west. Do you understand? Even when I go back to Abuja, there's a job I'm supposed to resume from somebody who is from the north. So my personal experience having to work with this different kind of people makes me want to know more about their culture, their religion, their tradition, and every other thing. Whenever I come across some post on social media, it's being tagged tribalistic. It doesn't make sense. Younger generations, we need to put our heads together, go back to history, make research, and see how we can put heads together and make Nigeria work.
Okay, so I just want somebody to clarify something for me, because it seems that the issue of tribalism comes up when it's intimate relationships, right? So not marriage. What about business? What about politics?
It's a big
Let me hear somebody who wants to respond, and then
So I witnessed tribalism when I was still in secondary school. A friend of mine who was my namesake, but he was the Delta Igbo. He was not from across the Niger. I was across the Niger, and we got the same course of McKinney Ben, engineering. He got it, I didn't get. Started questioning and everything. I went through different places. I started hearing that because I'm from Delta, across the Niger, as Imo, Anambra, and the rest, my cut-off mark has to be higher than a certain level. So people who got less than that from the other, from the northern part and everything, they get into school, and you don't get into. My sister didn't get into school. So imagine, it's happening on a secondary level, at that level, education. Imagine what's going to happen: politics, business, every other thing. So I think National Orientation Agency, I don't think they've addressed all these issues.
Well, here is the National Orientation Agency.
Okay, but I will tell you that National Orientation Agency is doing a lot. We are the government.
But he's saying you're doing nothing.
That's what I'm about to tell you. We are the only government agency, apart from security agency, that is present in all the 774 local governments. And so we have programs that are set in place to address tribalism. One of them is building a people of peace. Government also has put measures in place, has established some government agencies. One of them is Federal Character Commission. You mentioned the other time that it appears tribalism only happen in marriages, interrelationship. So not only that, it doesn't only happen there. It doesn't only happen in politics. It's also happen in government circle. But government has noticed that and has put a government agency in place to ensure that yes, such things are curtailed. And one of them is Federal Character Commission.
Okay.
If it's not only in marriages, and is in politics as well, and only certain seats are seated in, wouldn't that mean only certain tribes would make it?
You know what's crazy?
It sounds familiar.
Sounds too familiar.
Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar.
With them getting rid of our diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
But let's go.
Hold up, and they starting on a college level with getting rid of it. That is crazy, and
it's a trickle effect.
It's two different topics, but it's so similar.
Very similar. Very similar.
Wow.
I think we shouldn't. I need to bring a little bit of history to that. So we shouldn't lose sight of what tribe is.
By the way, let's just clarify that for a second, because I only ever hear the word tribe in relation to Africa. When we go to the Northern Hemisphere, they're referred to as ethnic groups. What's the issue there? Why?
Well, I think that shouldn't be a problem. I think we should focus on what tribe is as a word, and it's not a bad thing. It is group identity. The problem is tribalism, which is the behavior. Okay, tribe is a basic human instinct. It's a basic, just like.
Okay, because I remember when we first started diving deep into African content, and we were calling the ethnic groups tribes, and some people were saying no, it's not a tribe.
Right, I remember that.
And I was confused. I'm like, what did I say wrong? But I guess the stigma of tribalism is why some countries don't like the word tribes. And I try to be sensitive of that now, and I try to say ethnic groups, but then when I say ethnic groups, they be like, no, it's tribe.
Because it's still fresh.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's two sides to everything. Yeah. So this is what it is for now.
Hunger, just like appetite for this or for that. Okay, that was how humans survived in pre-civilization era. They had to come together. Okay, so that character, that trait moved from pre-civilization era to the modern state that we are now. There is a tendency to find comfort in your community. Okay, there's a tendency to find refuge in your community where you can identify with people. I think what we have to do is to repurpose that. Okay, do I find safety in the other tribe? Do I find safety in the man coming from Yoruba, coming from Igbo? That's it, yeah.
Just humanity. When humanity comes into the picture, you don't have to worry whether or not you would find safety in the hands of a Hausa person or if you're Igbo, because kindness is supposed to be a universal thing. Given that you're Hausa, you're Yoruba, you're Igbo, it should not be a problem at all. And I think that from the outside world, they don't see us as that. They see us as Nigerians. And I think that we should carry ourselves in that one accord as one people, because the truth is, when I see you in school, I don't ask you what state do you come from. Oh, my Nigerian brother. When I see you in America, we're Nigerians. When I see you in Ghana, we're Nigerians.
Hold on, let me give Victor a chance.
Cooking. People, often try to move away from the stuff that creates division. Because oftentimes, like, we have an international channel. Everybody from every location then about has said our doors are open to you when you come. We want you to come eat our food, come experience how we live, and have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if there was a part of the vision involved in that, it's like we would be like, well, most of the time we probably want to be involved in it, Yeah.
And although, because the channel is different cultures, different people from all over the world, sometimes we see this with European content as well. Maybe it's a little different, but when you look at European history, even before the Big Bang, I'm going to say the Big Bang, they were fighting amongst themselves.
They were.
Right? And I feel like it's not just a Nigerian problem. It may just be called something different in other areas.
Yeah, and we see
the
that.
world.
Yeah, and we see that often whenever we do, the comparing the two, and we be like, "Oh, y'all dances just like our dances, but we may call it the Dougie, and y'all may call it something different." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's definitely an opposite there. You know what I'm saying? Two sides of the coin, but it's same value.
Yeah, and y'all know we fell in love with the weddings. And we was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then y'all was like, no, y'all need to see how we do it. And we like, okay, we're going to watch it. And then people was like, no, y'all need to see how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, although we were showing this tribe's wedding and this tribe's wedding, at the end of the day, what we saw as Americans was Nigerians. And we was like, Nigerians have beautiful weddings.
Yeah.
So,
Facts.
But I'm understanding it, and it's a complex issue,
Yeah. It's a needle in a haystack.
What you mean by that?
Meaning that it's one of those thorns that you perk your hand on, not necessarily realizing that everything looks good, but when you dive into the conversation, it's a stinger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah. And I know, regardless of how much they're teaching, unless you're actively in that culture, you will never fully understand it.
Yeah, that's why you got to be a listener, and you got to have an open mind to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't spoken.
Okay, yeah. The whole NYC thing, Nigerian Youth Service Corps. The first time I came to the West in Lagos, I'm from Plateau State. The first time I came to Lagos in the camp, I had people refer to me as Hausa. But because a lot of people in the West here, or South, think that anyone that's from that region is just generally Hausa. I've experienced tribalism in that sense, and it's actually not a good thing. So it was very weird to me, because the NYC is supposed to unite Nigerians, bring us together. But even there, you have people being tribalistic to you. So I feel like we also need to, even as Nigerians, individuals, also need to go back and unlearn and relearn these things too. Yeah.
Well, I would like us to take note of two things. Now, there is a particular term in religion. We call it ecumenism.
Hold on, I feel like
unlearn and relearn.
He might be the oldest gentleman.
You think?
Yeah, is he like he has a lot? Like he got the, you know what I'm saying? Like
no, that other man look older than him.
The one that was all the way to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love the different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm pointing it out. Like he's.
I would like us to take note of two things. Now, there is a particular term in religion. We call it ecumenism. Now, if I'm a Christian, you are a Muslim. I will respect the practices in your religion. Then we relate together. Now, I don't want us to be dwelling on what colonial masters did in the time past. Nigeria will be 63 tomorrow. So let's consider the spirit of nationalism. That's the way forward. If I see myself as a Nigerian, you see yourself as a Nigerian, we uphold the spirit of nationalism. The issue of tribalism will die down gradually. Thank you.
So before we move on too far, how exactly does government use tribalism to manipulate? Let's start with how. Let's start with how first.
I don't think the government plays a role in this. I think it is us. Who makes up the government? Individuals. Who makes up the system we're complaining about? Individuals. So these people, you, me, if one of us, they said it takes one person to change a situation. If each of us can imbibe this thing, this unanimous decision to unite as a nation, we will all be united. If I don't see this guy as Yoruba, I don't see this guy as Igbo, I don't see her as... we would all unite, but because we're expecting government, who is the government? I think we should just stop saying it. It's annoying.
We have failed to mention two other very big institutions that play a part in tribalism, and that's our family and religion. And they ingrain some values, they ingrain some principles into you. And then you go, and then from your family, you move into school, and then from school, while you're in school, you're also part of a religion, and I don't even want to go there, but we agree and we know that until these other institutions take the issue of tribalism seriously and find a way to make sure that it is curtailed, even the government will try, and it will look like pouring water into a basket. Now, let me tell you one thing. I traveled, and then someone was telling me, oh, where are you from? I said, oh, I'm Nigerian. Oh, which state? I said, Cross River. Oh, you're Igbo. I said, I'm not Igbo. And this man argued with me that I am Igbo. I have a tribe. It is just minor, but I have a tribe. It's actually very insulting to just, like he said, because he's from Plateau State, they say he's Hausa. It's so unfair. So these things, I feel like education should play a huge part. We should learn and know because even us here, we are all doing even some of you don't even know the other states in Nigeria, apart from Igbo, Imo State, Anambra. You don't know other states, and I think we should all educate ourselves very well so that we know we treat each other with respect.
All right.
That takes us to the point like so we in Texas, y'all know that, right? But the first thing they say when they hear that we're from Louisiana, oh, y'all from New Orleans?
And I am from New Orleans.
We are, yeah. But at the same time, it's like that's the first thing most people say when they see someone out of Louisiana traveling, doing whatever it is they're doing. They instantly go back to New Orleans. And when it comes to religion, it goes.
Y'all see, he hating a little bit.
Nah, man. Shout out to my 504. But when it comes to religion in the household, I just gotta say that most of the times as children we grow into it, and there's a lot of like that choice at that part. If you want to continue with it or if you want to stay away from it, it's free will, and a lot of times people just they have to come to an understanding with themselves with that. So I just think that's just every home. That's just every home when it comes to religion.
Yes, I do agree with her. She said family and religion, right? She didn't say school.
No, I think she said family and religion.
Okay. Well,
I think family and religion.
I think school is another way that could, help to curb that. Because when we learn on how Germany approached teaching the World War II and the Holocaust, it made everybody be more respectful towards that, right? And I feel like school could play a big part in, creating the unity amongst everybody.
Yeah, and again, it's us being, it's the children, you know what I'm saying? Because when you in something,
the younger generation,
you have to abide by it. Most of the times, a big percentage of them just get on the board with it and be like, this is what it is until I graduate, and then I get in life, and then I start experiencing stuff, and then I start to, like the gentleman said, you have to unlearn and relearn stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that takes place with these steps in life, man.
Yeah, definitely. And children are impressionable. And earlier they said that they think it's the younger generation that's bringing this stuff back up on the internet, right? So that's why I say I feel like the school system, big factor in creating the unity.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
like a government or a community entity. Right?
Yeah. And one more thing to add to that, the other lady she was speaking about is the people. Like, we all know that. At the end of the day, if we want to see change, the people have the power to actually do that.
People have the power.
The people have the power to do it. So
let me come to you.
So you see, I said something, and we just saw it play out right now. Now she was offended because she's from Cross River State, and they said she was Igbo. Is there any crime being an Igbo person? Actually, there's no crime. So no, hold on. I'm going somewhere. Hold on, I'm going somewhere. Hold on, I'm going. I know. I'm going somewhere. You got a bit upset because you were trying to make them understand that there are other tribes outside the major tribes, right? Now, that is stated, but I don't see the reason why you should be upset because, hold on.
Your name is Chinedu and someone is saying your name is Adams. No. You cannot rule out your identity.
Okay. Hold on. Before we start throwing hands, let's take a deep breath. Make your point.
Okay, so the thing is, you're not supposed to be upset that someone is mistaking your identity. Rather, you educate them.
Okay, Ikechukwu, let me throw the question back at you, because it's similarly to when you travel outside of the continent and you say you're Nigerian and you're introduced to a Kenyan and you're told, well, you all are Africans. There's something about erasing your identity, and I think that's the point that she was trying to make. Let's hear from you, Victor.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell him that. I just wanted to say same thing you just said. It's not about being offended. It's about your identity. Your identity is about you, who you are. Like my identity is being swept away. I don't like it. I want to be called a woman for who I am, not because just because you assume I'm from a certain place, so you just generalize it.
Let me give Jibril a chance, please.
Let me take us back to the job issue. Like my brother pointed out that some data are collected to sideline some people from some ethnic groups in a tribalistic way. If you look at the whole thing, the concept is not true. They are trying to extract data to make sure that you have the presence of so tribe in so place, because the Federal Character Commission has an act that ensures that everyone is well represented in every government agency and parasata.
So yes, that's what it appears to be, but that's not what it is. Because then they look at, I'll say something, and I won't go into details. I applied for a scholarship, and I got a phone call. They asked me, where are you from? Your name is this, you applied for blah. I'm like, yes. Where are you from? And I said, Bayelsa State. And the person was like, okay, thank you. I'm like, is that it? And I did not get that scholarship. I later heard that they wanted, more of Igbos, more of Yoruba. They were trying to dilly-dally, and that was why I lost it. So most times it is not because they want to use it and make a balance. It's because they want to take you out.
Okay. So while I really am seriously enjoying the enthusiasm of this debate, we really need to come to a wrap up and talk about some solutions. We all see how tribalism is affecting us in different ways. How do we stop it?
I think just like everything we've been saying, individualism. Let's all see ourselves as individuals. Let's all see ourselves as people. Let's all see ourselves as humans. Before we start looking at tribe, I'm from here, I'm from there. That is the first place to start from.
I believe that spirit of nationalism should be highly upheld. Government has a part to play. Religious leaders have a part to play, as well as traditional leaders. That's the way forward.
Okay. In addition to being humane and kind, which is very, very important, I will still keep hammering on education. Because if you're well educated and if you know, like if you have certain information, you will not misconstrue things that are not supposed to be misconstrued.
I think we have a lot of work to do in our rural communities. The classes that happen are in the rural area, so the message needs to be driven down to those levels.
Okay, Ifeanyi.
Yeah, so I think it still boils down to the government. If the government is actively representing what it's supposed to represent, people will respect and follow the system. If they do and represent very well, everybody does the same.
Okay.
Wherever they talk about tribalism on the negative side, it's actually come from selfish interest. Let me tell you what tribe is all about in Nigeria. There is this particular kola nut. Kola nut is actually grown in the west, but eaten in the north and celebrated in the east. So this is what tribe is in Nigeria.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so on that note, I've got to ask you all for a small favor. Because I know you're drawn from different tribes, I want you guys to show off a little bit. Share with our global audience something unique about your cultural background.
Fura de nono, everyone knows that of the Fulanis. We carry, that's milk and also the ingredients we use to prepare it. It is loved all over the world.
The Akwacha.
Who are us?
The Deltans, the Igbo, the Aniocha people. You know, there's this attire that's called Akwacha. It's a very beautiful attire and it's white, so it depicts a lot of peace and unity. Yeah.
Let me hear about some of that.
Ibibio, and it's home to the best dishes in the country. I mean, it's you can't argue against that.
All right, so let me talk about Plateau State in general. We have very diverse, beautiful cultures, and we have the best weather in Nigeria.
All right, so I'll come in the angle of nature. Nigeria is a very beautiful place. So do not take what you see on social media. Please visit Nigeria. Nigeria is a very beautiful place.
So at the beginning of this debate, I asked a simple question. Is it possible for the young generation to teach the older generation how to overcome tribalism? I think all of you here have shown resoundingly that the answer is a definite yes. I have never felt so good after discussing something so tenuous. Thank you all for watching.
And on top of that, she did a really great job with the group. And really just to end it as well, I always say don't forget where you came from, and at the same time, take everything you learn, apply it to your life, and then disperse it and show love to the people, man.
Yes, Nigerians are hard workers, passionate people. They love their cultures. Yeah. Okay, I feel like they'll be the change that they want to see, and it's gonna happen. It's evident in this.
Do more like this. I think we could do more like this.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because it helps everybody get understanding on just why things are being done and why things are being said. So
yeah. So we're praying for y'all. Okay. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.